Welcome to the 2024 New College of Florida Commencement Ceremony. Thank you all for being here tonight, and congratulations to the 2024 graduates. You all may be seated too, by the way, sorry. We are excited to celebrate your accomplishments. We'd also like to thank our Board of Trustees that are able to join us tonight. We'd also like to thank Chancellor of the University System for the state of Florida, Ray Rodriguez, and several elected officials for being here this evening. This evening you will hear from a renowned faculty member, distinguished alumnus, the student body president, and our commencement speaker this evening, Joe Ricketts. I would first like to introduce our faculty member, Dr. Heidi Harley. Here, Heidi. Heidi has taught psychology here at New College since 1994 and is now the Peg Scripps Buselli Chair. In addition to serving as the Director of Environmental Studies, she is the architect of our brand new Masters in Marine Mammal Science program launching this fall. And her research has connected her to everything from Disney to Mote Marine Aquarium here in Sarasota, also to the United States Department of Defense. Please welcome Dr. Heidi Harley.
I forgot to tell anyone that I have cried at every graduation I have attended. So here we go. First, welcome Novos of the Four Winds and all of your affiliates, including retiring professors Maria Vesperi, Katie Wallstrom, and David Brain, who've done so much for all of us. And I honestly think that Grace belongs in this list of retirees, even though she's graduating. So, 2024 graduates, on this serious and heady occasion, I want to begin by formally congratulating you on graduating! Woo! Woo, woo, woo! So, go empty setters, Banyans, Mulberries, Four Winds, Novos, go whoever you are, because we love you just for that, for exactly who you are. And we are so psyched that you are graduating, really psyched. So I thought I might tell you about what happened to me right after I graduated, because I was sort of worried there wasn't life after college, honestly. No one ever talked about it. My first job after college, I decided I wanted to study dolphins, was as a flipper girl. That was my actual title. I was a dolphin trainer, and I can imagine the women's studies department at Boulder, Colorado, where I graduated, just sort of flipping out. Nevertheless, it turned out to be a great job, and it led into a great life, and that is what I want for y'all. And that's really what a liberal arts education is all about. So I figured that today I would tell you a little bit about what dolphins might suggest for you to lead happy lives. So let me just begin with, I have multimedia with their own words. Okay, so that's pretty much it, right? You got it? I'll translate just a little bit. Dolphins and humans actually have a lot in common, and I'll talk about three things that they have in common. We're both curious, social, and vocal. So one of the ways that dolphins show their sort of curiosity is when they're surprised. They create this big surprise bubble when something weird happens, and that's usually when their expectations are broken. And at New College, one of the things we've really tried to do is all together work on understanding diverse perspectives, because that's really helps you understand things. And part of that is trying not to prejudge things when you first hear about them. And there is nothing easy about that. As a cognitive psychologist, I can promise you, your expectations lead you to how you think, because they should, because you have to think in real time and you need to have expectations. However, I have learned a phrase that has helped me so much with that when I'm smart enough to use it. Sadly, I often have to relearn the same lesson. But that phrase is, tell me more about that. And so, again, sorry. And so imagine that a student or someone else comes to you and says they want to spend the rest of their life studying slime molds. Your first feeling might be, if you don't know anything about slime molds, that they're slimy and they're moldy, and maybe that wouldn't be a great life choice. However, I have to tell you that if you use this phrase, tell me more about that, you will find out that there are hundreds of species of slime molds. Many of them are so beautiful. And they clean up the forest. They actually bring life from death. And y'all, they communicate. And you know what? They don't have brains. The world is full of miracles. So, all to say, if you want to practice that, tell me more about that. I would do it. Dolphins are also social, and one of the things that they do is take care of each other, but they also even take care of other species. So I'll just tell you this short story about my life as a flipper girl. I was in the water with a bunch of dolphins, and this young male started charging me with these really loud echolocation clicks. So it looks like, and he went just right around me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta get out of here. So I stayed calm, and I started swimming towards the dock, but I was really worried. And what happened is, I lucked out, because this older dolphin came and got between me and JJ, the young dolphin. Woody came and got between me, and she stayed between me and JJ until I got out. So that's another thing that I think dolphins have to tell you, which is take care of others, even if they're really different than you are. Y'all are so nice. And then the last things are that dolphins are vocal. So every dolphin has a signature whistle that's unique to that dolphin. It's sort of like a name. And they whistle those to let other dolphins know where they are and to keep in touch. So last week, a couple alumni came into my office from the 1990s, and we shared all this, and they found me in the building because they heard my laugh, which I think might be my signature whistle, actually. And we talked about when they were here, we talked about dance tutorial, all these wonderful things. And then one of them told me that her son was here studying music at New College and very happy. So second generation, we were so psyched about that. So yet another thing that dolphins have to say to you is whistle to keep in touch with people you love. So just to review, try out the phrase, tell me more about that, take care of others, even if they're really different than you are, and whistle out to keep in touch. So that's double TW, tell me, take care, and whistle. So to conclude, I just want to say, here's to you, the 2024 Novos of the Four Winds, the class of resilience. My guess is you'll hear that a lot tonight because you blew into the college in a pandemic, and then you got swirled around by hurricanes, and then you had 4 college presidents in 4 years, and now you'll be scattered to the 4 winds. But just remember to whistle. And I just want to say thank you for coming, thank you for staying, thank you for graduating, and for all that you taught us. You got this.
Thank you, Dr. Harley. Next, I would like to introduce our alumni reflection, Mark Familio. Mark came from Pennsylvania at the age of 15 years old to New College as a prodigy, completing his studies in 3 years and graduating in the class of 1975. In more than 50 years since coming to Sarasota, Mark has been a successful entrepreneur, investor, and leader for our region, and an absolute staunch advocate for New College. He is the current chairman and president of the Sarasota Film Festival, and he actually hosted a magnificent play right over here behind Robertson Park, a film screening just in the Bayfront last month. Please give a warm welcome to Mark Familio.
I have never read a speech in my life, but I don't have a very good filter, so they've written a speech for me. Actually, I did write the speech, but I promised that I would read it, so I apologize in advance. I've never done that before. I'm so proud. It's really amazing that I have the opportunity to do this. I never in my wildest imagination thought that I would, or I really didn't aspire towards it. But now that I'm here, I'm very, very grateful. And yeah. I'm so happy to be here tonight speaking to you at my alma mater, and a place that has been very dear to me for over half a century. Wow. New College of Florida. I graduated in 1975, but New College and the people I connected with here played a very deeply significant role in my life for the entire period of time. Thank you, President Corcoran, for your steadfast commitment to trying to find a way to sustain the New College model while navigating the pendulum swing of political and cultural change. Thank you, graduates, for the opportunity to speak briefly to you tonight. I've done a lot of cool things in my life, but the honor of doing this is probably among the greatest, and I'll never forget it. As I was reflecting on my time at New College, I thought about a lot of things. Back in the 1970s, the food was pretty awful. I imagine it's still pretty bad. So working as a dishwasher in the cafeteria, I had special access to the freezer. So I did what any good Italian kid would do. I stole the rubbery steaks and we took them back to room 114 in the pay dorm. We'd grind them, and on Sunday nights we'd make meatballs. So every Sunday night I could be found in my dorm with a hot plate on the balcony making meatballs. I didn't know what was worse, stealing the rubbery steak or having the hot plate in the pay dorms. But in any event, it became a tradition and something I remember. So thinking about making meatballs on my balcony got me to thinking about the importance of good quality ingredients. And I thought, what a better way to impart to young, fecund minds, love that word, a quick alumnus perspective than by sharing something from my own recipe book. Now, like all good recipes, you've got to put your own spin on it. But here's a good place to start with 4 simple ingredients. Ingredient 1, a sense of personal responsibility. When I first came to New College, the administration gave us a handbook that said, in essence, that each student is responsible for his or her own education. Our challenge was to implement for ourselves, with support from the college, our professors, a flexible, organic plan for our studies. For a guy who always did things his own way, this educational ethos resonated with me and taught me critical lessons about personal responsibility. It became a tool in my social, emotional, professional toolbox and enabled me to take responsibility, not just for my own academic studies, but also my personal choices and actions. There was no shifting of blame. I would flourish or fail on my own. We don't see this as much in today's world, I don't think. Many people want to blame others for what's wrong in their own lives, but it's vitally important. So don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to admit your flaws and your failings. You alone are responsible for creating the life you want. I guess that's a truism. Ingredient 2, an open and caring mind. There's a great anecdote about Henry Ford, who people may know is a major industrialist in this country. As the story goes, he would take a prospective executive hire out to lunch as part of the interview process. When the food came, if the prospective employee put salt and pepper on his steak or his food, Henry knew immediately that he was not going to hire this fellow. He didn't wait. He had closed-mindedness. He started salting and peppering his food before he even tasted it. The lesson here is simple. An open mind opens doors. Listen to your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, and hear them before pouring your own proverbial salt on their opposing views. Like Frank Zappa said, a mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open. Can't believe I just quoted Zappa. When New College was first founded by local and national leaders, the tone was set and will hopefully continue as a bedrock for the future, for an environment that promotes intellectualism, individuality, free thinking, and open debate. Sadly, just a few days ago, Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito warned college students that freedom of speech is declining dangerously on college campuses and perhaps our country. We see it every day in the news, and I worry about my own twin daughters who are 2 years away from being in college themselves. The free exchange of ideas should be protected at the highest level on college campuses. And while New College will hopefully continue to aspire to this ideal, this may not be the same everywhere. Keep your minds wide open, be caring, be vulnerable, and be flexible. Ingredient 3. Remember, we're talking about meatballs here. At New College, I made a good friend named Rick, a guy who incidentally never wore shoes, ever. Occasionally, he wore a shirt. When I was 20, I raided my high school lawn cutting account and bought my first piece of real estate with Rick. He soon went off in a different direction, dedicating his life to finding treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder using psychedelics. But this first acquisition stirred up a lot of questions for me. I remember feeling a little embarrassed about it, unsure whether buying this property, blanketed in pine trees, was a good idea. What was I going to do with the property? How was this going to help me change the world? I talked to another friend and classmate about it, someone who's likely here tonight, and I'm sure he doesn't even recall the conversation. A guy named Jono. Jono's a brilliant natural historian, environmentalist, educator, and author, and I'm sure he doesn't recall this, but I'll never forget what he said to me when I went to talk to him about the real estate project and whether I should do it and find it interesting enough. He said to me, "Mark, why don't you start by doing an arachnid study?" He wanted me to count spiders. This one simple question posed to me almost 50 years ago changed the course of my life. I started looking for reasons behind everything and getting deeply involved in anything I pursued. Jono made me realize that the real property is more than just houses, buildings, construction. Real property shelters living things. I was sensitized in a very unique way, which I know impacted me in my future real estate, that involved preserving environmentally sensitive lands and saving historically significant properties in our community. Another friend and classmate was a guy named Norm. Years after we both graduated from New College, we co-founded a technology company. We got patents on unique technology processes, and we revolutionized the voice-to-text transcription industry. We learned a lot from each other, and besides our friendship, we built a company that has endured for many decades. I tell you these stories to hammer home the importance of this ingredient. Stay close to your classmates. They may change your worldview, make you a lot of money doing things that you might actually love, and impact you in ways you would never have imagined. Ingredient 4, an understanding of history. The New College experiment includes the ability to change, adapt, and move in a direction contrary to the trend. The administration has embarked on an enormous task of maintaining major cultural elements of the college while reinforcing its goal to teach students how to think, not what to think. What New College is going through now is no different than what happened in the mid-'70s in many ways. when we joined the state university system out of fiscal necessity. The message is this: plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose, which my French is awful, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. You can't get stuck in a moment of time. The pendulum continues to swing. To better understand the history of New College, I traveled the halls of Tallahassee on a couple of occasions with some administrative leadership, foundation executives, Sidney Gruters, faculty, trustees, students, and alumni, including my friend Bob, who I believe is here as well. And though we don't agree on every topic, Bob and I are not afraid to vigorously argue constantly well into the night about almost everything related to New College. But we both love the institution, and there's not much we wouldn't do to help sustain it. Anyway, I went to Tallahassee not because I had any particular interest in government or how the sausage is made, but rather because I wanted to understand the commitment of these people pushing for the success of New College. I have never seen such a driven, passionate group with a singular purpose work so hard to secure funding to continue the legacy of New College. So the final ingredient is this: understand history and use the lessons of history to help push things forward. As graduates, alumni, you're now entrusted with ensuring the continued success of this institution. Stay involved, stay active, and make your own meatballs. Thank you. It's such an honor to introduce tonight the commencement speaker. Joe Ricketts is the epitome of a self-made man. His knack for seeing what others couldn't, the things that most people can only observe in hindsight, allowed him to turn a very small investment, a borrowed $12,500, into the most disruptive American brokerage firm of the 20th century. Mr. Ricketts started from very humble beginnings with a humble brokerage firm in 1975 in Omaha, Nebraska. He saw market inefficiencies, embraced innovative technologies, and employed pioneering marketing strategies to give Main Street a level playing field with Wall Street. The end result was TD Ameritrade, a company that started with a $12,500 loan and which was sold to Charles Schwab for $26 billion. That's amazing. Financial success, however, is not Joe's ultimate goal. He has a long track record of philanthropy, especially as it relates to creating opportunities for education to those who lack opportunities geographically or financially. Through his generosity and empathy, he is making a priceless impact on the lives of many. And that's why he was here at New College just a few months ago, announcing the integration of his Great Books curriculum within New College's first distance learning degree program, a program that makes New College's liberal arts degree available anywhere students have internet access. With the philanthropic scholarships he will offer, many of the students graduate with no debt. It's an incredible honor to welcome Joe Ricketts to the stage to give tonight's commencement address. Joe?
Good evening, folks. Congratulations to the graduating class of 24. Welcome, distinguished guests. Welcome, family, proud family, parents, and other members of the family. And I would like to say tonight, the first thing I don't know how to stop the ringing that's happening. That does good. So I was going to say, as I started this talk this evening, that I want to talk about things that you are interested in. And if I got off the subject on that is something that you were not interested in, I was going to ask somebody here in the front row to give me a thumbs down and I'd move on to the next subject. But as I got up here, I see there were a number of people already putting the thumbs down sign up, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. So the first thing I want to talk about is, to the graduate, is your cap and gown. Now, it represents the achievement that you should be proud of and all of the work that you have put in over the last few years to get to the point of graduation. But the cap and gown also means something else. The cap and gown represents an entree, your entry into a new world, your entry from academic into the world of making your own living. And that is a new adventure. And that is something that you might think of with a little bit of angst, a little bit of reservation. And so I'd like to really talk to you about how special you are. Nobody in the world, nobody in this room has ever been born exactly like each one of you. Nobody in history has been born like each one of you. Nobody in history, in the future, will ever be born like each one of you. Each one of you is unique. And as you go into the future, you're going to find unique ways of presenting your unique self. And I would like to say that you're going to have challenges that other generations have not had. The majority will follow a certain pattern, but you're going to have something that you need to contend with as some of the early people that have to contend with artificial intelligence. Can you get it? Why don't you just let it roll around? So I hope that works. Is the loudspeakers on? Can you hear me? Okay. And as you go into the future, you need to think about what your objective is and how you're going to reach those goals. And I hope your objective is happiness and contentment. And the first part I'm going to talk about is the happiness part. When I was young, my parents told me all the time that I should go to college, that I had to go to college, and that I was going to have to pay for it myself because they could not afford to. The Depression of the 1930s had a very big effect on my grandparents and their lifestyle. And it had an effect on their children to the point where my parents were happy to have a job, to have an income to support their family. And they wanted to do better by us. So from my earliest days, I can remember them telling me that I'm going to college and that I had to pay my own way. So that I had to start early. My first job was a paper boy. Then it was carrying out groceries from a grocery store, and then a clerk in a drugstore. And I saved my money, I saved my income for the most part and took it to the bank and make a deposit to pay for my college. And that's what I did all through grade school and high school. Now when it... Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think this is on. So, is it on?
Maybe I could pull it out if you just hold it close to your mouth.
Oh, I got to use both hands.
Okay.
to hold the paper down because of the fan over there. So it's important to have a plan, to know where you're going, because things are going to change. So a plan is necessary so that when circumstances change and you're not going to be able to achieve that plan, you know it and you can make another plan. So when I was young, I wanted to be rich so that I could send my kids to college and have them pay for it. you don't mind. You want to take this one away?
I think we're good, though. That one's working now. Sorry.
All right.
I got you.
So the idea of being rich when I went off to college, coming from a small Nebraska town, was that of what I had witnessed in the town. So I wanted to open or own a retail store or a pharmacy or a grocery store, or be a dentist or be a medical doctor. Those were the things that represented to me wealth. And as I went to college, I came to understand that I was not going to achieve any of those things because I could not get into graduate school for dentistry or medical school because I didn't have the grades. And I didn't have the money to open up a store. So I really had to look for something different. So I had to change my plan. So the knowledge that I had from my first goals to become wealthy changed to that of becoming a stockbroker. Now, I like the idea of being a stockbroker because you were on a commission. You didn't make any money unless you sold stocks. And I thought that was wonderful. I can make money relative to my own talents, my own skills, my own work habits. So I got a job as a broker after I got out of college. Now, it took me a long time to get out of college because I didn't have enough money from my paper route, working in the grocery store, working in the drugstore. So I ran out of money rather quickly. And I got to tell you that this was something happening kind of new. After the World War I or World War II, the government had created the GI Bill, which allowed service people coming back from the war to go to college, and many people did and became leaders in their community. And later, through the late 1950s, it was not uncommon to be able to have a summertime job and to work while going to school through the wintertime to be able to put yourself through school. Obviously, since that time, prices have gone up, and that's not possible anymore. So what I had to do during those times was, when I ran out of money, I had to quit, go to work, save the money. When I had enough, I'd go back for another semester. So it took me 7 years to get my bachelor's degree. And when I got it, I was extremely proud. I was extremely happy. And I had this job lined up with a brokerage firm. And my training was going to take place in San Francisco. So as I walked out of my last class, that day I threw my books in the trash barrel, walked out and got in my car and drove to San Francisco to start my new job. Now, I was shocked when I got to the training program to find out that they taught us about the regulations, they taught us about how the market was structured, they taught us about the markets, and they taught us about how we would need to evaluate stocks. And then said, but you don't have to worry about it because we've got a research department that will create the stocks for you to sell. They'll okay them. And that was a little bit of a shock to me, and I was taken back. But I thought to myself, well, maybe that's okay. I can sell, and I don't have to worry about these other things. And so my thoughts were constantly changing as I was going through this school, and my plan was changing. And when I got out of the training and I went to work, it was in the early 1970s, and we had a bear market. We had a recession. Now, the 1960s had been good. The market was generally up. We had short-term, 6 months, maybe a year of having a bad market. This bad market lasted 5 years. So it adjusted my plan. Now, again, I come back to the point, you need to make a plan so that when you have to adjust it, you know what you're going into, and you know how you can find what your goal is, and hopefully it's going to be happiness in what the type of work that you're going to be doing. And so what I found here was a little bit of luck, and you never want to throw away luck. You want to take all the luck that you can get, and the luck was that the SEC and the Department of Justice and Congress all had decreed that fixed commissions were illegal, and that the securities industry was going to have to go to negotiated commissions. Our competition quickly turned that word negotiated into discount, but I'm okay with that. We put a good reputation behind it. So my friends and I, three other friends and myself, got to talking. We said, rather than fight this idea, why don't we join? Now, I knew that if somebody would charge a lower price, they would get the business. Most of the brokerage industry just assumed that this wouldn't make much of a change. Right from the beginning, under the buttonwood tree in Manhattan, they didn't even own a building. The brokers had said we're going to charge the same commissions and we're going to compete on service. And that went on for years. Well, of course, the markets grew, the Industrial Revolution came along, and everything just went very well, and the markets were very large. And this is the time when the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission said you had to change and go to negotiated commissions and compete not only on service, but also on commissions. And most of the Wall Street was really not worried. They thought life will go on like it has, but I knew that if somebody else sold the same product or service I did at a lower price, they were going to get the business. And so the risk that I would have to take, if I didn't pay any attention to this, was that I could do the research and I could sell the customer on purchasing the stock. And then the customer would go down the street to my competition and ask for a lower price. So that was the risk that was facing us. So my friends and I that was interested in doing it decided to start our own brokerage firm. And we made an arrangement to buy a local brokerage firm. And so the first day that we walked in to our office, which was very low in rent, it was really two hallways kind of put together. It was so narrow that our metal chairs, metal desk had to be parallel to the wall. The floor was linoleum. The walls were dingy. The lights were not very bright, but I was ecstatic. My soul was soaring. I was really, really happy because I was starting a business of my own. Now, and I made plans previously in my life, as I just described. I was not that ecstatic. So when you hit upon the plan that suits you, whether you want to be a musician, a basketball player, an engineer, or whatever it is, you will know you will be ecstatic. And I think that that is the career that you should center your life on, because that is what will bring you happiness. Now, the other thing, in addition to having a career that makes you happy, and I'll get contented in just a minute, is you have to have a spouse that's going to join you in that adventure. So, most of you are going to get married. Some of you will not get married. But you need somebody that's going to be a partner with you as you do that. So, I knew the woman that was the choice I had picked for myself was going to be somebody that wanted a happy marriage, and that's all, not any expectations. And so the first few years of our life, we were very, very poor because I didn't make very much money at discount brokerage. So we didn't buy a new car, we bought used cars. She didn't buy a new dress. We didn't go out to dinner. We didn't take vacations. And she never complained. She never once complained to me about our lifestyle. So she didn't care. She had her family, and that's what made her happy. Later on in life, after we became wealthy, she still didn't care. I mean, she appreciated the things that we could buy because we could afford it at that time, but it really wasn't important to her. It was the family that was important. So I had a spouse that stuck with me through thick and thin, and for achieving your happiness, I think you need to look for somebody that will accompany you in your decision in whatever industry you're going to take. The other thing that's important is freedom. You need to be free to make the choices. And today you have a lot of opportunity to make additional choices because of all the different kinds of careers that are there today. You want me to quit, or do you want me to go on? Huh?
What do you want to do?
Well, it doesn't do me any good to talk over that. So I might as well just quit. I'll just tell them they want.
I wouldn't say that. They're all being videoed.
We are. Okay. They slowed down. Say, folks, I want to say the next thing is freedom. Freedom is important in the United States to have all the choices that you have for careers that you want to make. They don't care. I hate it, but they really don't care what I have to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Hold on, I'm going to give you a
Yeah.
I don't know which one. Yeah. Thank you, Joe, for coming. We're honored to have you here. We really are.
Thank you very much.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on, Joe. Hold on one sec. Hold on one sec. Today, we'd like to honor you with an honorary degree from New College. And so, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of New College of Florida, it is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of a Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all its customary rights and privileges. Thank you, Joe. Sorry. Next, we will have our student president reflection. Grace Keenan is the student body president for the class of 2024.
Before I begin, let me tell everyone sitting behind me to relax. I got most of my jokes out last night. First and most importantly, congratulations to our graduates. I also wanted to thank the New College faculty and staff and all the family members and friends who showed up tonight to support the graduates, and to the New College alumni who have dedicated so much of their time and energy to supporting the students and the college. This is a very special graduation. For many of you, your final year of high school took place in the middle of the pandemic. And although I'm a little bit older than most of you, I too did not get my high school graduation. I suffered from an illness that kept me out of school for many years. There was a time when I didn't think college was even a possibility. So I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to go to New College. To not just get an education, but to transform as a human being. If you not already know this, let me be the first to tell you that this is not a normal school. And I was going to say that we have had a very different experience here, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this was the New College experience. Our time here might not have looked like the previous generation, nor the generation before that, or even the generation after us, but it is the New College experience nonetheless. There is a common thread throughout. We have been challenged in ways we were never expecting, both in and out of the classroom. We have been pushed to our limits. Our worldviews have changed and expanded. I'm reminded of a conversation that happened during my first week at New College, when a professor was talking about his graduate experience. And he said that for some professors, you can always tell who their students were, because they act like them, they talk like them, and they think like them. The best professors are the ones in which you can never tell who their students were. They have come to their own conclusions, they think on their own, and they argue with the professors. The only hint of their teacher is in the quality of the work they produce, not the content. That is New College. And I know this is true because I look at all of you who came dressed here tonight in whatever you wanted. After each of you completed a unique and extraordinary thesis, after spending 4 years participating in and witnessing debates that were so much more complicated and nuanced than are you left or are you right? As you go into the world, you will find that you are not a normal person. And it might not always seem like it, but trust me, please trust me, I've been around a lot of other college students, and that is a gift. To be able to think for yourself, to have had the opportunity to truly be yourself is rare. I wrote my thesis on Cicero, if the toga didn't give it away, who was watching the Roman Republic, the thing he loved, crumble in front of him. He wrote De Officiis on duties because he continued to see a lack of virtue in Roman leadership. I'm not claiming to know everything about the world we are living in, but I can say that sometimes it does feel like things are crumbling around us. We, the students, have continued to be lectured on our lack of virtue, but I have found that it is not the young people who have been difficult to work with. Some of you will remember our Board of Trustee meetings, because they're very hard to forget, where I was the student representative. And I began each meeting by reciting the Communist Manifesto. Wait, sorry about that. I was the new college student who was advocating for us to be fiscally responsible, to take care of our students. But as I tried to work with the members of our board, I was guided by Cicero's work, which preached that we have a duty to our fellow humans, even to the people you do not like. That I personally have a duty to live up to my virtues, to play my part in behaving justly and ethically. And I want to take this time to remind you all that as you go in the world, you will encounter many difficult people. You will face challenges that seem impossible to overcome. You will be surrounded by people telling you that it is not possible to give up hope. All you can do is to live up to your virtues. Do what you believe is right and let the rest take care of itself. You might think you are too young, and yes, there will be times when you are in the room where decisions are made, and you'll have to teach them how to use their wireless printers. Corcoran. But remember that young people can make history, that you, the class of 2024, have been making history. So when you go into the world, remember that virtue, integrity, ethics are the things that will carry you through any circumstance, that trust and respect are earned, not given to you because of your position. New College has provided you with all the tools you need. There is nothing you cannot face. I know each and every one of you will go on to do extraordinary things. Remember that today is about you, and I'm sorry if it hasn't felt like that. Thank you for letting me speak today, and one more time for good measure, long live the Null Set.
I'm Richard.
Earlier this week, I had the pleasure of attending the Scholarships and Fellowships Recognition Reception and meeting a number of the accomplished scholars before you tonight. I would like to acknowledge those graduating who have received a prestigious fellowship or scholarship. Would you please stand? So we've now reached the most important and most fun part of the ceremony, and that is the conferring of the degrees. With the master's degrees, graduates, please rise. By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Master of Science in Applied Data Science from New College of Florida.
Test.
David Neslick.
Now would the bachelor's graduates please rise? By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Bachelor of Arts from New College of Florida.
Isabella Alvarado. Jorge Alvarez. Dariana Marie Alvarez Herrera. Alexia Adriana Atkinson. Gabriela Batista Quintana. Hallie Belden. Logan Bell. Sarah Birdsong. Camila Sonia Blasi Gregg. Michael Polish. Melissa Alice Bouchard. Joshua Chester Boyhill. Marshall Javier Bustamante. Danielle Campbell. Nelis Cardenas. Liam Parker Carrillo Rodriguez. Ana Sedeno Escobar. Isa Betul Chemek. Ahmed Sami Chemek. Julia Grace Cole. Alexia Craig. Janie Day. Glennie De Jesus. Audrey Dixon. Annie Dong. Alphonse Engels. Joshua Lazier Salzauer Epstein. Leighton Skylar Finlay. Sophie Flem. Alexandra Gates. Anna Galiski. Soledad Yesenia Gonzalez. Alexandra Gorman. Kristen Groves DeJarnet. Brittany Hall. Sydney Sigerlin Hall. Dylan J. Hogan. Kranti Jafar. Lindsay Bliss Jennings. Chloe Jones. Margaret Call. Remy Jessica Katz. Grace Keenan. Sadie Landerville. Chai Leffler. Jenna Levitch. Sydney Lingenfelser. Cynthia Lucas.
Slow down. Back up.
Should have put them in alphabetical order.
Mia Lodden. Alicia Luguri. Nisi Luvavali. Lola Lyons. Jane Major. Sophia Victoria Mayo. Darius Manon Arias. Marla Marlo. Rosa Delia Martinez. Ann McAllister. Leanna McDonald. Montera. Peyton Simone Mitchell. Isaac Moncada Almendares. McKenna Mooney. Marian Montera Bandera. Shelby Nagel. Femi Nafati. Olivia Lee Nelson. Megan Nigro. Spencer Emerson Opal Levine. Belle Origlio. Alyssa Palmatier. Connor Park. Michael Pertler. Nicholas Pitcher. Thomas R. Porter. Isaac Pressberg. Charles Alexander Reardon. Mia Reyna. Shabia Razzola. Chloe Rusak. Ariella Wilson. Galen Ridzik. Aya Mohammed Siam Saleh. Ashley Shame. Saeed Ibtihad Sharik. Carly Shorts. Samia Siddiqui. Sujit Sivadanam. Phoenix Dalton Saltis Tetro. Okay. Natalie Brooke Spivey. Samantha Steele. Jack Stevens. Lola Swanson. Isaac Tanchea. Darwin Tappy. Reagan Thompson. Magdalene Williana Varas Rodriguez. Syriac Versidi. Tessa Vincenti. Sadie Fitkus. Dignora Whitty. Alexander Wills. Mila Wimbush. Sabina Whitman. William Cole Wolf III. Good. Sam Worthington. And Cindy Sheen Jong.
Would the associate degree students please rise?
Thank you for joining us this evening for such a momentous occasion. Please remain in your seats to allow the students and the faculty to make their exit. Once the recessional is complete, I invite you all to join in a reception to celebrate our newest graduates of New College of Florida. Will the platform guests, faculty, and graduates please stand for the recessional?